Hello, everyone. Welcome to Walking Through the Agenda. In today's discussion, we will explore how to find our voice unapologetically. I'm Jackie, and I will be your host for today. This channel is a safe space to explore possibilities, to learn more about who we are, and what we can do to become the person we want to become. I have often found that so many people want to tell you how to feel, how to act, what to do. And I have found that over time, I have really relied on others to tell me what my voice is, when to speak, when to not speak. And as the times have progressed in my life, as I have progressed in seasons and who I am, I have found along the way that I really started to lose my voice. And I have found so many people feel the same way. I wanted to create this channel to empower people to find your voice again, to explore what makes you happy, to explore what your current feelings are. I know for me in the very beginning, I couldn't tell you what made me happy. I really couldn't. My husband would ask me sometimes, what is it going to take to make you happy? Because it seems like you're constantly changing who you are. And that's very true. I have changed in a lot of ways over the years. I have made decisions, I have left positions, and I have created new careers, always trying to find what made me happy. And I couldn't figure out what it was on a consistent basis. There are things that make me happy in general, being a mom, being married, my friends. I have hobbies and interests. However, I try new things all the time. So, the ability to maintain hobbies and interests for me is a struggle because I'm in a season where my children have a lot of hobbies and interests, and I'm supporting that as well as working full time and finding the energy at the end of the day to find my joy. So, as I talk about these things, one of the things that really sticks out to me is that there's a lot of people out there that live a life where we have so many things going on, and it is extremely difficult to discuss what our emotions are or even understand what they mean. I know over time we just get used to feeling a certain way. We just get used to, oh, we're just getting older. That's why I'm so tired. That's why I don't have the energy. I don't have patience anymore because kids are this or kids are that or adults. There's all kinds of things that we can explain away our emotions and our feelings in our body. But at the end of the day, if you assess who you are, who you want to be, you really start to sit there and think, how can I change this? Can I change this? And I will say, not everybody feels that way. Not everybody's going to sit there at the end of the day and say, I'm tired. I struggle to get up in the mornings, everything else. The reasons for that they won't explore. They might just say, I'm not a morning person. I really struggle with doing that. But over time, if you take the time to sit here and explore who you are, you will really start to reevaluate your life. And that is the intention of this channel. I want to give people the ability to explore possibilities. I want to provide the opportunity for people to learn more about who you are and what you can do to become the person you want to become. It doesn't matter how old you are, that person can still be there. That 18-year-old that said that they were going to rule the world isn't gone just because it's 20 some years later. Just because you're raising an almost 18-year-old now doesn't mean that the person you are can't still achieve. And I feel, for me, I struggled with that for a while because raising my kids over time, when I became a mom, I took it very seriously in the sense of my kids are priority and everything they need. And so I really started to put myself on the back burner, and I did it for years. And in your 20s, it's a little bit easier. You have a little bit more energy, and you really haven't established life in the sense that I had kids in my 20s, my younger years. The struggle for me was transitioning from being an individual with only meeting my individual needs and those around me. And I did look to support other people. I was usually called the mama hen in all of my friendships. So taking care of people wasn't new, but doing it every single day, every hour of the day, you really start to lose pieces of yourself. At least I did. And my goals and aspirations started to change. I graduated college, I had kids, and then it became, what can I do to have a career that I can pick my kids up for daycare? And I live in a rural area, so it's not as easy to just pick, whatever job it was. And my other requirement was is that I wanted to be an active mom. So that meant I wasn't going to invest in everything in my job up front. I wanted to be able to go to work. And then when work was done, I could go home and be with my kids. Now, there I say that, but I'm also one of those people very invested. So I want to be a high performer. I've learned that over the years. I want to achieve milestones. I want to make people happy. I want to support them. And I will give everything I have to do that. And over time, I realized that I was giving everything I had, but I wasn't filling myself back up. So I really had to start to take some steps to really identify what are my feelings, how do I feel about this? How do I get unstuck? Because I don't want to be stuck in this cycle. I don't want to feel like this all the time. I don't want to, at the end of the day, make dinner and just feel like I can't do anything else. I don't want to think. I don't want to have conversations. I'm just exhausted. So, how do I change this? And I really started to explore my day to day. How do I feel when I wake up? Do I feel different on a Monday than I do on a Saturday? If you work 5 days a week, are you not a morning person Monday through Friday, but suddenly on Saturday and Sunday, you wake up and you have a lot of energy and you can check all of your boxes, but Monday through Friday, it's a struggle? That should tell you a little bit about your environment. I know that many people feel they don't have the luxury to ask those questions because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you feel. It matters more in how you can survive. And many of us are taught to be in survival mode. I know that's for me. I can be the most empathetic person. I care. I want to know what your feelings are. I really want to be there for you. Are you doing okay? And for me, when traumas happen, and I've had quite a few, um, even struggling to tell people that I have a problem, that you shouldn't feel that way, but I did. And it was more because I was used to taking care of everybody else. But the one person I really needed to take care of so I could take care of everybody else was me. And I had to start to remember that. An example is we had our house burned down, and I waited a week to tell people. There were some other circumstances going on to make sure that, core people knew what was going on. But even then, I shared and I tried to make it somewhat humorous and hurry up and hide because I was in trauma response. It was going on. Luckily, we had people reach out. We were able to get moved in quickly. And it seemed like everything happened so quickly, which is what I wanted because I didn't want to process my emotions. And I just wanted things to be okay. So that's really what my mentality a lot was is I can't process my emotions. I don't have time for any of those things. There's a crisis. This is chaos. Let's get through this. And I need to be strong enough for my kids. Now, once I got moved in, I did make the decision to step back from my job for a few months because I realized I had reached a breaking point. And that's not the only breaking point in my life, but that was a pretty big one for me. It was, I had over 30 years of my life, a lot of emotions that I would acknowledge they happened, but then I would just put them away and never bring them up again. And they affected me in different ways of my life. And so I had to really start to take time to figure out what do I need? Who am I? And what do I want to become? And those things are not easy, because even asking the question, who am I? A person. Like you can sit there and go through a list of things. I remember I have a twin sister, and when we would get in trouble, we would have to sit there and come up with 3 things that we liked about each other. And as children, being twins, I like your eyes because they're the same color as me. I like your hair because it's the same color as me. And that's when you start to ask these questions, right? Like, who am I? Well, you're all of these labels that people have given you. And that's how we identify. So when we start to have feelings about things, it runs into our identity. And it's really important to start to talk about that because as a mother, I can't sit there and break down. My kids still need to eat. I can't stay in bed. I can't sit there and go across the world because we've got to pay bills. I can't quit my job because things need to happen. I got to pay bills. It's a constant in my identity as a mom, as a person, a high performer, I don't want to quit. None of these things. I'm stronger than that. I don't need to feel this way. I would constantly shove my emotions down based off of the identity I thought I needed to have in whatever situation it was. And I would call upon all of my identities. As a mother, I need to be this way. As a wife, I need to make this decision. As a daughter, as a sister, as a friend. But I didn't really identify as me. Who am I? What do I need? I'm important. And it's okay to say I'm struggling. It's okay to say I need help. It's okay to say, hey, I know I'm supposed to be responsible. I know that I'm supposed to get out of bed, but today I'll get up and go to the bathroom. I'll wash my face. And that's okay. It is okay to have empty days. It is okay to say, I have nothing to give you right now. In those moments, you need to say it to yourself and you need to talk to other people and say, I'm having a day, I need time for myself. I need to heal or, whatever you want to say, because I understand that people struggle with the words to use in telling other people your needs. I'm from Missouri. It is the show me state. And I say that because the mentality of a lot of people I've interacted with as somebody from Missouri my whole entire life is that we have to explain why we aren't able to produce. In my experience in the Midwest, in Missouri, there are so many great hard workers. There are people that just want to get the job done, and some do it with a customer service smile, and some people aren't very happy, but they're going to get it done. And so the thought of saying, I can't get a job done is a struggle. And people want to help you, but they need to know how to help you. And I realized as I was identifying my feelings and stating, I'm struggling. I can't get out of bed today, or all I can do is sit here on the couch. I need to watch something to distract me. I feel sad. Identifying all of those things, I had to learn that I have to communicate. So not only did I have to learn to start to communicate with myself, and the number one way to communicate with yourself is to acknowledge who you are. I, in this moment, am feeling this way. And as you begin to start to do that, you will start to take down the layers of, why do I feel this way? What is causing me to feel this way? Can I get out of the situation causing me to feel this way? And as you grow in these things, you will start to see root causes. And I say root causes because there's more than one thing, right? Especially if you have multiple identities. As a mom, I'm exhausted because I give everything to my kids and I feel terrible if I miss a game. But my brain at the end of the day, I don't want to interact with anybody. I love my kids. I hope they do a great job. But today I have nothing left to give. But as a mom, I'm going to go to that game anyway. Instead of stating, maybe I'll be late to the game, like taking steps to protect yourself or just stating, I'm not going to go to the game at all today. It's not that I don't love you. It's I don't have it to give today. And it is so important to identify what your needs are because you're teaching your children, the people around you, if you have no children, what your needs are and what their needs are. And it's okay to say it. So as you go through these things, as I've gone through a lot of my journey, I always thought if I could just figure out what my problem was, that would just make things better. And I realized even when you figure out what your problem is, what the root cause is that is making you feel the way that you are, it doesn't make it better. It really doesn't. It's not right away. And a lot of times we are so invested in the identity of the problem that pulling away from it is extremely challenging because our ability to see it as anything other than the barrier from keeping us from being who we are is so foreign to us because we have constantly, this is our worldview, this is where we are. I have a job, therefore, Monday through Friday for 8 hours a day, I am chained to my desk. I have to constantly be at everybody else's availability, especially if you have people that want instant responses. There are people that feel like they need an immediate response. And if you aren't doing that, then you aren't doing your job. And so when you work with people with different personalities and you go through this in a day, you're trying to communicate effectively, to get your job done, however that looks like, and whatever interactions you have in a day. And then your children come home, and then your husband comes home. And now we've introduced new communication styles again. And your children very much do want your attention, and they should have it. In my opinion, they should. But there have been times where at the end of the day, I can tell my kids, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. Tell me about your day. And they will. And I'll be like, okay, and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go take some quiet time for myself. And I've started doing that with my kids, like my son, he's going to be in seventh grade. And I tell him, I was like, at the end of the day, I try to take 10 or 15 minutes. I just lay down and I try to let go of the day and process. And at first I was kind of hesitant to tell him that I was doing that because I don't know why. Honestly, why should you struggle to tell your kids that? It's like taking a mini nap or something. But I told him, I was like, it makes me feel better because I'm letting go of those things. I'm transitioning. When I'm done with work, I'm with you guys. This is who I need to be. And he started to come home, and he takes 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the day, when he comes off the bus and he lays down, and he just takes his quiet time. And then after that, he wants to come talk to me for a little bit. And then I'm getting dinner going. And then everybody's doing their own thing. But it is so important to have these conversations with yourself, with your kids, with those around you. Include them in your process. Let them know where you are. And I say that out loud because it is a struggle for me to communicate my needs. It is still an ongoing struggle because I've had to just take the feelings that I have and put them aside to survive. And I'm in a season where I want to thrive. I want to work past the agenda of survival mode. I want to be thriving. I want to encourage other people to thrive. I love cheering people on. I love telling them their strengths and how important they are. And it's time for me to do it for myself too. And so the purpose of this channel is that I can encourage other people to ask these questions, to share some of my experiences, and to let you know you're not alone. And however you process your emotions, whether that is going to a quiet place and that makes you feel better, you should do that. Some people feel better going to a loud place. It's whatever works for you, but find out what it is. And start to find your voice as you do that. Communicate what you need, communicate how you feel. Maybe you can't tell people what you need yet. Maybe you can't tell them what's going to make you happy. But you can say, I'm having a hard day. I'm struggling today. Okay, well, what about today is a struggle? Let's start there. Is there a pattern there? Are you in a cycle? And that's another thing really that needs to be worked through is, are you in a cycle of repeated patterns that bring you to this place? And if you are, what can be done to get out of that cycle? And it really comes down to, you need to understand yourself better and give yourself credit, give yourself grace. And as you do that, you'll start to find new opportunities, new things in a day to make it better, because it is all about owning who we are on the inside and who we portray to the world, because on the inside matters just as much as the outside. And it's very important that you protect that and move forward. So, what do I mean by owning our own actions? Okay, so you have responses at work and you don't like the communication. Maybe you feel like you aren't listened to or seen or valued. Okay, so take a step back and see how you can listen and value other people and really start to assess what is their communication and how can you meet them. Now, I know that's a challenge because you're in this moment of feeling like, I want to be seen, I want to be valued, and I don't feel it. Okay, well, you have to first start by giving it to other people, and then people will give it back to you. Now, there are people that will, take the time to listen to what you have to say, but you're not going to have a big interaction. And you might not be the first person they come to when they have something. You may talk all the time, but are you talking together or is it one-sided? what do we bring to the conversation? So, as we look to improve situations, we have to really start to evaluate how do we respond to circumstances and situations? What do we bring to a conversation? How do we see other people? And when I say that too, I also mean you have to be willing to be seen. My personality, I want to be the cheerleader for everybody, but I don't necessarily want to be out in front. I will defend other people. I will be there for you no matter what you need. I'm ready to go and I'm excited for you. But it is a struggle for me for other people to give me the microphone. I can't tell you how many times I tried to get this video started. Whether it was set up, whether it was clicking the button, it was just doing the opening few lines. And I kept just telling myself, you just have to start. And one of the biggest things that I've learned about myself is that I do struggle to be seen. But I want to be seen and valued for what I bring because I am an observer. I want to make things better for everybody else. Don't necessarily need the limelight, but I do want to feel valued. So how do I find the balance? How do I provide those things and keep myself from running away, hiding and shrinking? And those are things I've got to learn, and learn about myself. I learned that I have anxiety about things, and because I want to help people, I can limit myself sometimes because I'm so afraid that I will do something that will say upset them or somebody else that I just want to get away from the situation as soon as possible. And I've really just started to figure that out recently. In general, I have good rapport with people. I do have my moments, I'm a human being. I have my good days, I have my bad days. And I also have days where I don't communicate well with others in the sense of not everybody works well. It doesn't matter what your intentions are, how kind you plan to be, how well you've thought this out. If people don't communicate with you the way that you do, or they have things going on behind the scenes that you are not aware of, then the interaction is going to always struggle. And that is such an important thing to explore when you have interactions with other people, because you don't always know what's going on. So you can have somebody that you know in your everyday life and they're wonderful and you think all these great things, and then they come back to you and they say they have all these issues going on at work. Okay, well, I can't believe these people. They don't know you. They probably don't. They probably don't, because the person that we are changes depending on the environment and the identity we have in those positions. And the process of understanding our identity in different environments is so important, because it's not like taking a hat off at the end of the day. There are pieces of you in whatever parts of your identity that stays on all day long. So even though you work 8 to 5 and you're done, you come home, you log off your computer, whatever that looks like for you. Come home, you're still thinking about work and you're cooking dinner and your kids have questions, and maybe you had a meeting today, it didn't go well. You felt like you got a lot of criticism and it didn't go well. It made you feel terrible. And your kids got all this energy and super excited. And you respond back with like, I'm too tired. Or maybe you criticize your kids. Like, why didn't you just do the dishwasher like I asked you to? Or why would you put this up here? Because you're having your feelings from earlier in the day. So, the important part of understanding your emotions and who you are and working through the agenda is understanding that there are multiple agendas. It's not just yours. There are many people in your life that they have multiple agendas as well. And we may not know every single one of them. But it is important to understand that once we realize that it is not always you that people struggle with, it is the barrier or block that you provide to them. Maybe you are the best person for the job, but somebody feels like you are better at your job than they are. And maybe they even have a different position, but they just don't like that you're liked. So the better you do, the worse they treat you. And over time, the problem with allowing that to happen is that you will start to become the version that people tell you you are. So when you assess the things in your life, you assess your identity, you assess your responses, and the environments you're in and the cycles you get in. Along the way, you have to own your participation. You have to understand the agenda. The biggest agenda to really focus on is your own. At the end of the day, what do you want to see happen? Do you want to go to sleep at a decent time every night? Do you want anxiety to not bother you? Do you want to have joy in the day? Are you okay with just being focused? Is it okay for you that you have compartments? Are you able to just work 8 to 5 and then it's shut till the next day? Don't worry about it. And you can focus on tasks, everything else. That's great. Do you have an upcoming project that you want to work on, but you have struggled to work with somebody in the past? Okay, so when we start to evaluate the agendas of other people, understand that people think differently than we do, we really need to begin to focus on what we want to accomplish in the day, staying strong in that, and really start to see the interactions of other people in your everyday life, the interactions of your boss versus your best friend. Going to be completely different unless they're the same person, right? Interactions with your husband versus your children. Is it, where is the struggle here? Where are we struggling to balance? And understand that people's responses are not always personal. It is just what is the agenda they have going on and what is their focus. So we'll explore that more to understand, what do I mean by other people's agendas? What do I mean by working through these other things? I thank you for your time and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Have a good day.